My first exposure to Islam was when I was 8 years old. So when I was 8 years old, we hired like an au pair, which is a nanny from abroad. So ours was from France. And we didn't know this when we hired her, but she actually turned out to be a Muslim. She didn't really pray that much, but when it was Ramadan, she used to pray and she used to fast. So I learned that Muslims prayed and they fasted. I'm sure she used to wear a headscarf when she prayed, so I learned that Muslims also wear headscarves when they pray. We did Islam in a religious studies class as well when I was a similar age, about 8. And what I learned from that religious studies class was that basically you don't have to fast if you are feeling sick. And also I was shown a prayer mat. I was shown like just a few different things about Islam. I didn't really know a lot about Islam. Like my au pair, she used to, because she was from Guinea, so she used to tell me stories about when she was a child, but she never really talked to me about Islam, so I wasn't really that aware of Islam when I was a kid. I was living in quite a white area, and the only Muslim that I met was my au pair. My au pair left when I was about 9, 8, something like this. After she left, I didn't have any more exposure to Islam for years. Like I didn't meet any of the Muslims. It wasn't until I reached 12 years old and I moved areas and I met the first Muslim woman who wore hijab. I remember she was wearing hijab, abaya, all black, and I just didn't understand why she was dressed like that. Like it was so different to what I'd seen before. I remember saying to my friend, like, why is she dressed like that? I just did not understand it. My school was quite white, so there weren't a lot of Muslims and I didn't really come into contact with Muslims. Then one day I went shopping with my mum to the Trafford Centre, and after we finished shopping she took me for a meal and she sat me down and she told me that she was converting to Islam. I remember feeling quite accepting towards my mum and being like, oh, you want to be Muslim, like that's okay. But I didn't really think about converting myself. Like I just thought, oh, my mum wants to be Muslim, that's fine, that's her choice. But I never really thought, oh, Islam is going to be for me. In terms of sharing the reasons that my mum converted with you, I don't feel like that would be appropriate for me to do. I feel like if my mum wants to share her Reverts story, like that's completely up to her. But before my mum converted, she took me to the mosque for the first time, and I remember meeting this man who was so nice. Like he got me food, he was just really nice to me. And then I remember after that we saw Muslims pray, and I remember just being like, I didn't get why they were praying or anything. Like I just felt really confused, and at that point like I didn't want to convert. Like my mum took me afterwards to see the imam where she converted. I remember the imam asked me, do you want to convert? And I was just like, no, I don't really want to. Growing up, my dad was an atheist and my mum was an agnostic, so I didn't really have that exposure to religion, so the whole thing for me was kind of a bit like I didn't really get it. But after this whole conversion happened, I did actually start going to the mosque with my mum. And I started kind of reading the Quran as well. And I think reading the Quran is actually what made me convert. So when I opened it, I didn't get it. It was quite scary. Like a lot of the stuff it was saying was quite scary and I was kind of scared. And then after some times, I felt like my heart started to soften. And I started to feel like my heart feeling at peace when I read the Quran, like all the signs of God and everything. Like it just really made me feel at peace, and also it made me really think and reflect on the world around me. And when I started thinking and reflecting on the world around me, you know, with the Quran pushing me to do that, I really started to think like Islam is true, like what the Quran is saying is true. And in addition to that, when I started going to the mosque and hearing Quran recited, like I just started feeling God in my heart and this connection to Allah, and just feeling completely at peace when I heard Quran recited. I think when I think about it, was it the fact that I was reflecting and seeing that Islam was the truth, or was it this emotional connection I felt with the Quran that made me convert? And when I think about it, I really think it was a mix of both. In terms of how I converted, so every Thursday I used to go to a new Muslim group in the city centre, and I used to go every week and we were learning how to be Muslim, so what the basic pillars of Islam were, what the pillars of faith were, and this sort of thing. And I was going every week, and then they used to say to me, oh, like, do you want to convert today? Do you want to convert today? Do you want to convert today? And I was like, not really sure, not really sure. And then I've been going there about 6 months, and then they asked me like another day, do you want to convert? And I was like, yes. So then I stood up in front of everyone. There was probably like 10, 20 people there. I can't remember, it was about 10 years ago. But there were quite a few people there, and I remember just converting in my new Muslim class. To be honest, when I converted, I didn't really feel immediately different, because I'd already been practicing Islam. Like I'd already been praying in English, admittedly, but I had been praying, like going through the motions of prayer, and also listening to Quran. So when I converted, I didn't really feel like, oh, I'm a different person now. Like I still felt like me, I still felt like Rebecca, but I just feel like it was a big step in terms of me moving towards Islam. I started to pray, I started to feel really a connection to Allah. Like once I got my Arabic, I went to Arabic class, I really started feeling connecting to Allah when I was praying. Before I converted and when I was first praying, I didn't feel as much connection. It wasn't until I read more Quran, I listened to more recitation and this sort of thing that the prayer really started to feel like an emotional connection for me. And now, like, I'm so grateful to Allah for guiding me towards Islam. Like, it's just brought me so much inner peace, inner happiness, and praying just brings me so much inner peace that I couldn't imagine my life without Islam. Like, I just wouldn't be as happy as I am now. I hope this video has been remotely helpful. Maybe if you're a convert, you want to feel less alone, or maybe if you want to understand the reasons that people convert. I hope this video has been somewhat helpful to you. I'm going to wrap it up now just because I think I've told my convert story. Hopefully the updated version is a bit more accurate, but I feel like I've told my story and I just want to put it to bed now. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments.